Today we're talking 10 ways to build an emergency fund. I'm going to give you 10 practical ways, tips and tricks that you can use. Now you don't have to use all of these, but this will hopefully trigger your brain to come up with some ways to save for an emergency fund. Now before we get into that, how much should an emergency fund be? Well, the point of an emergency fund is to prevent you from going into more debt. Or from prevent you from going to debt in the first place. So we want to make sure that this covers expenses in what a typical emergency would be. Now, some people, Dave Ramsey, would say that a beginner emergency fund should be $1,000. I personally don't agree with that. I know that when I was in college, $1,000 was probably way more than I needed. Now that I am debt-free, we have a house, we have a family, $1,000 wouldn't cut it. Most emergencies that we have are more than $1,000. They deal with the house or different things like that. So I personally think a great starting point for most people is 1 month's worth of expenses. And that is a sliding scale depending on who you are. So if you're someone that doesn't make a large income, then your expenses are a lot less. If you're someone that has a large income, most likely lifestyle creep has crept in and your expenses are going to be higher if you lose your job, different things like that. Then eventually building up to 3 to 6 months worth of expenses as an emergency fund. So I personally recommend 1 month's worth of expenses to start out with. Next question I get is, where do I keep an emergency fund? I personally think that there are 2 places that you can keep an emergency fund. One, don't recommend cash, but one, I recommend keeping it either in a high yield savings account like CIT Bank. That's where we keep ours. I have a full video tutorial on them, a full review, pros, cons of CIT Bank. CIT Bank is a high yield savings account, so you're going to get a higher return on your money than keeping in like Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Now you're going to get a lot higher return in the market, but you want your emergency fund to be able to be available within at least 24, 48 hours. Whereas if you have an investment, it may take a little bit longer. So keeping a high yield savings account is number one. Second place that you could keep your emergency fund is in your checking account as a buffer. So say you have $2,000 as your buffer for your emergency funds, then if you see like $2,500 in your bank account, you need to do the mental math. And when you see $2,500, you really see $500. You don't see that $2,000. That is your emergency fund. We're not going to spend that unless it's a true emergency. I do have a full video on what's an emergency, what's not an emergency for emergency funds, so definitely check that video out as well. But have that available in case something happens, have it as a buffer, in case bills come out early or something comes up, you're not overdrafting in your account and you're not keeping your account at zero and then going into the red if anything happens. The first tip I have to build an emergency fund is use printables to motivate you. Use printables to say, okay, I want to build up to 1 month's worth of expenses. I want to build up 3 to 6 months, or I want to build up maybe $1,000 is all you need. Have a printable to help motivate you to save up to that amount that you can color in, that you can motivate, that you can visually see your progress, and it's going to make you want to push forward and save that money faster. So I have tons of printables on my website. Definitely check. I'll have them linked down below in the description box for you, but I have tons of savings challenges, printables for emergency funds, printables for savings challenges, paying off debt, investing, all different things, house saving fund, tons of different printables. So definitely check them all out on my website down below in the description box. Number 2 is to track your spending. Track where you're spending a lot of your money. And I personally recommend doing it in a budget. And I am a big advocate for budgets. As you guys know, I love Excel budgets. They're the most customizable to me. Some people like apps, some people like printables. I personally like Excel. I like having to manually enter in my transactions. A lot of people don't like that aspect of it, but for me, it's a great exercise to make sure that I'm visually seeing and I'm manually entering every single transaction so that it hurts a little bit. I want it to hurt. I want it to be like, okay, we're overspending in this category, or dang, we're eating out. Whereas if you're just scrolling through your account, you don't really notice as much. But if you have to manually enter it, you're like, all right, this is a lot. And this also helps you to track trends. Where are you overspending? Maybe you're having a lot of Target trips, or maybe you have a lot of gas station snacks and say, okay, every time I go to fill up my car, or even when I'm not filling up my car, I'm going into the gas station, spending $5, $10 on snacks and sodas and Red Bull, whatever it is. Whereas, you know what? I could be adding that to my groceries and paying a lot less money and the grocery store than in the gas station, and that's a great way that I can cut back. So when you're tracking your spending, you're able to catch trends, which is a huge way to be able to cut back on your spending. With this, you can also see throughout the month where you're overspending, or if you're going over budget in a category like groceries, you can be like, all right, halfway through the month, we're a little over budget, we need to cut back. Whereas at the end of the month, there's nothing else you can do. So that's a great way that you can stay on top of your tracking. If you're in it every couple of days, it's only going to take you 5-10 minutes. It's not going to take you too long. But if you wait to the end of the month, it's going to take forever. So track your spending, come up with a schedule, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Track your spending, spend 5 minutes while you're drinking your morning coffee. And trust me, it's going to be painless, and it's a great, great habit to get into. Next is to cut back on your subscriptions. Take a look at your subscriptions that you're spending money on. Are you spending money on cable, on Hulu, on Netflix, on Spotify, on apps on your phone? Look to see, are they apps and services that you maybe don't need anymore? Maybe you were on a special diet and you downloaded this app that they're charging you $4.99 a month, and you haven't been doing that diet for a long time and you have no intention of going back to that diet. Get rid of that subscription. Or maybe you cut cable and you're like, all right, we're going to cut cable. We're going to save $100 a month. We're going to switch to streaming services. That's awesome. But one thing to keep in mind with this, which we have fallen into, I'm learning, speaking from experience here, is watch your streaming services because they add up quick. If you get Netflix, Hulu, Discovery Plus, Disney Plus, all these different streaming services, it adds up quick. So make sure that you're picking a couple, one or two that you really are going to enjoy and use, and not just pile on subscriptions, because then you may actually end up spending more than you were on cable, because trust me, they get you. So really factor in how many subscriptions you need, and also be aware of your time. If you're spending that much time watching TV, maybe you need to, readjust and spend that time elsewhere outside, working on a hobby, working on a side hustle, playing with your kids, different things like that. So really watch where you're spending your time, and then also the number of subscriptions and where you can cut back. The next way to grow your emergency fund is to use cashback apps. I am a huge fan of cashback apps, as you know, and to me, yeah, it may take a couple extra seconds, a couple extra steps, but I'm already going to be buying groceries. I'm already going to be buying gas. I might as well use apps like Get Upside and get cash back on gas, or Fetch Rewards and get cash back on my groceries, or Target or Walmart or Amazon. And I love using those cashback apps. I've earned hundreds of dollars using them. And if you're using them like Fetch Rewards, sometimes they only give gift cards, not cash back to your bank account like Get Upside does, but Fetch gives you Amazon or Target. Use that to buy groceries, and then that's lowering your grocery bill, so that therefore you could be putting that money towards your emergency fund. So don't think of them as just, oh, this is free money that I can spend and buy fun things with. You could, but you could also be strategic and say, okay, I'm going to use that money towards groceries so that I can use this towards an emergency fund and savings. So I'll have links down below on all the cashback apps that I use, as well as tutorials, reviews on them, codes that you get extra points. All of that will be linked down below in the description. Next is to start a side hustle. Start building extra income. Just like I talked about cutting back on some TV, use that time to build a side hustle. I started YouTube as a hobby, and now it is a full-time business that brings in more than my day job, which is crazy, insane. But start a side hustle. It may feel very overwhelming, but trust me, it's not. You may feel like you have no skills. Trust me, you do. I have a whole playlist on side hustles, tons of different side hustles that I've done over the years that I've tried out for you guys to tell you if it's good or not good. I'll have them all linked down below in the description, a whole playlist for you. And then I also have a free printable guide for you on 147 online business ideas. So if you're wanting to start an online-based business that all you need is an internet connection, 147 ideas for you to get your brain going. So we'll have that linked for you. It's a free printable, free guide for you, and it's a great way to grow your income. And I also have a course called Dreaming to Profitable. If you really want to scale up, if you really want to take a side hustle serious, turn it into a business, I have a full course teaching you how I went from my YouTube channel and being able to double the revenue every single year to now making more than I did at my day job, and how to do it faster than I did. I didn't have anyone teaching me this in the beginning. I was just winging it. So I have a step-by-step guide on how I did it, and it's a great course for you. If you use code YouTube, you get $15 off as well, which is a win-win. But building a side hustle is a great way to get that extra income, and then you can put that towards your emergency fund, which is the goal for today. Next is to negotiate your bills, negotiate your subscriptions, negotiate your cable, your phone bill. All of those bills are able to be negotiated. Trust me, you see those contracts that are new members get this price, where you've been a loyal member for 5 years and you're not getting that price. There's ways to negotiate. I have a full script down below in the description, a full blog post for you. So it gives you legit scripts of what to say while you're on the phone, that you can have it up while you're talking to them. So it is one that I've used over and over again to get discounts on our cell phone bill, on our cable bill, on different things like that, on our internet bill, so that we are able to use that money to save. Number 6 is change your way that you catch up with friends. So traditionally, me and my friends, when I have a friend that I haven't seen in months or years or whatever it is, what is the typical thing you say? Let's grab lunch. Let's go out to dinner. Change that idea. Change that thought process and say, hey, let's go to the park. Let's go for a walk. Let's have a picnic. Let's go and just catch up outside versus going out to eat. So often we make going out to eat, and that's going to cost us 10, 15, 20, 30, depending on where you go. And that's a great way that you can save some money, still catch up with your friend, which is the goal of it, not to eat, and get some fresh air, get some exercise. The same way, changing going out to dinner with friends of celebrating birthdays. I know that with birthdays around us, that means gathering a big group of friends and going out to eat. Instead, host a potluck and say, hey, let's have a taco night at my house instead. We're going to have a taco bar. It's going to be legit. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be delicious. I'll supply the meat. You bring the toppings. You bring the guac. You bring the chips. You bring the sour cream. You bring the toppings. You bring all this stuff, the sides. And that way we'll have an amazing taco night, and we'll still able to celebrate, or whatever kind of night you want. But use that as a way to celebrate with friends and still get that community, still celebrate with people, still have that friendship, but in a lot less cost for everyone. Going along with this, number 7 is cut back on your eating out. Say you're going out to lunch every single day, Monday through Friday with your coworkers. Maybe say, all right, let's do once a week. Let's cut back to just going out to eat on Fridays. The other days I'm going to bring my lunch. When the pandemic happened, my husband's coworkers all got a pay cut. They were all like, holy crap, this is legit. This is scary. We just got a huge pay cut. And they were all like, all right, we're cutting, going out to eat. One of Jamie's coworkers said to him was like, dang man, like I'm barely spending any money now. Like now that I'm not going out to eat and stuff, like I'm saving so much money. Like this is crazy. Jamie was like, yeah, my wife was right, wasn't she? Yeah. And all the guys that used to go out to eat every single day, and they didn't always go to cheap places either. They weren't going to like Chick-fil-A and spending $7. They were going to like Miller's Ale House and spending $25 and going out to expensive places. And they wouldn't look at menu. They weren't like, to me, when I think of going out to eat, like I'm like, okay, we can either spend $7 or $25, like what type of meal? To them, it's all the same. It's so weird, the thought process that's different. So when you're bringing your lunch, you can save so much money. So cut back on going out to eat. Maybe make it once a week or once a month, a special treat versus just the norm. Number 9 is switch to generic groceries. Switch to store brand. It's amazing how most of them are produced in the same factory. It's the same exact product and just not the label. I actually want to do a blind taste test on my channel, and I think that'd be so much fun because Jamie is bougie. My husband is bougie and wants name brand, but he does not eat name brand in our house since we've been married for 4 years now. Nope. So I'm going to do a blind taste test with him, and I think some of them he may get, but 90%, no, he won't be able to tell the difference. So switch to generic. You save so much money by switching to generic. Next is sell some stuff. Go around your house. Find some items that you can sell, whether it be on Facebook Marketplace or Mercari or yard sale or sell back to wherever it is, and go through declutter. Decluttering is such a big thing that we should all be doing and just helps to relieve a lot of the clutter. And sell some stuff, get some extra money. I'm sure there's tons of stuff around your house that you're not using that you could sell and that you could get some serious money for. Let's keep the conversation going. If you want to know some side hustles that you can do from home, a whole playlist on them, check out that playlist here. And if you want to know my top cashback apps, the pros, the cons of them, full breakdown of my favorite apps, check out this video here.